Hi everyone, welcome back and thanks for joining me today. This is Jana with Purple Girl Crafts. Today we're going to make this card. Now this card, when you open it up, it's another slider card that has a little message that's revealed. It requires no die cuts, no fancy cuts. It's just basic cuts with your trimmer. You could put a piece of white on the back of this to add a message. And I probably will, I just didn't add it at the end. And then here is another version that I made just a couple days ago. Again, this one has my lion. This one says, "Keep it up, you're awesome." And this one I did put the white on the back to write the message. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing we're going to need our scoreboard. And our first piece, this is for the base of the card, this is going to be cut at 12 inches by 5 inches. And then we're just going to go ahead and we're going to fold that in half. And then we're going to set that aside. Next, we're going to need two pieces, and these are cut at 4 3/4 by 5 3/4. We are going to need one piece at 4 1/4 by 3 3/4. One piece at 4 by 3 1/2. One piece at 4 1/2 by 2 1/2. And then you need another piece, and I did the opposite pattern, same size. One piece at 4 1/2 by 1 1/2, and then one piece at 3/4 inch by 3 1/2. And on this piece, let's score it at 1 inch. Then we're going to take that 4 1/2 inch piece, and we're just going to wrap it around there. Just fold it just slightly so that it's not too tight. Now we're going to go ahead and score that, and it's about just a little bit less than 1 inch on the other side. And you could score it on 1 inch on each side, but you want to make sure when it's glued down that it will slide. So it's easier to do it that way. So we're done with the scoreboard, so we're going to move that out of the way. And then we're going to start with the base of the card, and we're going to glue the one section on the front inside of the card. So I'm just going to grab my glue, and I'm only going to put glue around the edges. I'm not going to put glue in the center because we're actually going to make a cut through this. If your glue's not dry, it'll gum up your blade. So we're just going to put this on the one side of the card. And then we're going to make sure that is secure. Now, if you wanted to, you could put markings on this, but because you have the pattern paper on both sides, I'm just going to use my trimmer. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut 1 inch down and 1 1/4 inches in and 1 inch from the bottom on here, but we're only going to cut 3 sides. So I'm going to grab my trimmer. I'm going to lay this so that I'm 1.5 inches from the edge of the paper. And then I'm going to turn this so you can see, and it's going to be hard to see because of the black background of the paper, but I'm going to place it on the 5 inch, that's 1 inch down, and then I'm just going to cut it down to 1 inch from the other end. So we're going to lift it up again. We're going to cut it at 1 1/2 inches in. So we're going to put this on the 3 1/2 inch line. And again, we're going to start at the 5 inch line and then go down to the 1 inch line. Then we're going to turn it and do the last side, and this is going to be the side on the edge of the card away from the fold. And then we're just going to cut between those two marks. And this is what you should end up with. So the 3 cuts, And then we're going to do a score mark on here. So before we do that, we're going to take those two pieces that we cut in different patterned paper, and we're going to cut these a 1/4 inch border all the way around. So I'm going to put it on the 1/4 inch line, and I'm going to go in 1/4 inch, go down to 1/4 inch, lift it, turn it, and do the same thing, just so I have a 1/4 inch border all the way around. If you do have die cuts where you can cut this, you've got a die cut that matches this, you could do this. But if you don't have a die cut, this is how you can make a border for a frame. So again, 1/4 inch in, go down to the 1/4 inch mark, and then the last side we'll cut. And then what you will have is just a perfect frame. So as I cut this, you're going to notice that I'm going from the 5 inch down to the 1. That's so that the border right here will stop the paper from moving. If you cut the other way, your paper could slide. So it just helps to keep your paper straight when you're cutting this. There you go. So we have two perfect borders for our card. So we are all done with the trimmer. So we're going to go back to the scoreboard just for a second. We're going to put the card back on here, and we want to score on this 5 inch mark. Now I'm grabbing my ruler just to make sure I have it lined up, because sometimes it's hard to tell. And I'm just going to score that. I'm doing a pretty hard mark just to make sure that it does go all the way through both those layers. So now we'll take our card, and we're going to turn it and then fold that crease that we just did and then crease it out. And now you can go ahead and put glue on those two pieces just to make sure that that's secured. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and move our scoreboard because we don't need that any longer. Now we're going to take the two frames that we did, and we're going to put I put the dark frame on the inside just to give it some contrast. And we're just going to glue this down. Then we're going to glue this one to the front of the paper to give it contrast on that dark side of the card, on the front side. So I'm just going to glue this down. I'm just using my all-purpose glue, just the quick grab glue. So I'm going to put it on at an angle and then turn it so that I'm not fighting with it. And I'm just going to make sure that it's lined up around that edge, and then just go ahead and secure it down. And then we're going to turn the card over. I'm going to put that flap out of the way so I don't even have to see it. And then we're going to glue this top one on top of the card. Again, you want to make sure that you just get it lined up. That's why it's good to use your quick grab glue, because you've got some time to move it just in case it's not lined up. And that looks good. And then I'll just use my bone folder just to push that glue in just one last time. Now for the inside of the card, we're going to take that last larger piece and we're going to glue it to the inside of the card on the other side that we haven't glued yet. So we're going to glue this piece here. Okay, so now we're going to work on the mechanism of the card. So the inside of the card, we have this one piece that is the black paper, And then we have the one on the top. Now, mine is, I have a piece of white and I also have the stars on the back. When you put this on, it needs to be up against that edge. So you want to make sure that the two edges right here are even or together, and you're only going to have a border around the other three sides. Otherwise, what happens is if you leave a border all the way around, you're going to see that black line on there. So if you push it up, then it won't be as much of a line to see. So I'm going to glue this so I just have the border again around the three sides. So this is my lion that's going to sit on the card. Now for this greetings part, as you see, I'm fast forwarding this because I had cut out the banner, I cut it shorter. I went ahead and I did some shadowing on it with just some ink, just to give it just a little bit of character. I did so many different things, and in the end, I ended up cutting it into just a smaller square. Now I am putting ink on the little other piece that we're going to glue down, but you don't need to. The piece that we're working on now is our hidden message piece. And it needs to be lined up in the center of this flap that's going to move. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that this is lined up in the center of the card. And you want to line it up to the edge of the card. So I'm just going to take my ruler and I'm going to make sure that it is exactly in the center. So I'm putting a mark on the card and then also on the little lever. And I know you can't see it, but I'm just putting just a little bit mark so that when I glue it, I know where to put it back down. So you can see I just put that tiny little mark right there. And there's a tiny mark on the center of the card. When you glue this down, you're only going to want to put glue on probably about 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 an inch on the end of the piece. That's it. You don't want to put glue anywhere else. So we're going to lay this back down. I'm going to line up that little mark that I made. And then just press that glue down. So that little piece that we had made earlier, this is the piece that's going to go in the card that's going to make it slide. So you just want to put this on and make sure it slides before you glue it down. So it should slide freely. And we're going to go about 1 inch down from the end of the card. And then I'm just going to glue this. And then we're going to take the card and we're just going to close the card on itself and then press that glue down. And the reason why we're doing this before we put the centerpiece in is so that it doesn't get in the way and it's easier to work with. Now you don't need a stopper on the end of that piece because it's long enough where it won't come out when you open the card, even if you open the card all the way. So now we're going to glue this piece on, and this is our center of our card. So I'm just going to make sure that's in the center, and then we're just going to put glue on this whole entire flap. And then I'm just going to close the card on itself. And then I'm going to make sure that that is pressed up against that piece again. And that is the inside of the card and how the mechanism works. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to finish decorating this card. So again, I'm going to do my lion. And he's going to just be sitting, just so he's not showing him his entire body, but so he's showing quite a bit of him. So I'm going to glue him down. And make sure he's not sticking over the edge. It was just a little bit crooked. So I ended up cutting off those little tails on the banner, and then we're just going to stick that just in the middle. I'm going to take these stars and we're going to add those, and I'm going to put them over the top of some of the smaller stars that are already on there. It's just going to give it some extra color. So make sure when you put these on there that you don't put any that are going to get, that will make the slider not work. And then for the edges, I'm going to do some stars. Kind of like how I did on this one, I did the flowers. I'm going to add some thicker stars to the front of the card, but I'm going to add just a little bit more color on the inside first. So I cut out some shiny stars and some glitter ones, and we're just going to put those on the front of the card like the other one had. And just a couple, just to give some more variety. And as you embellish, you can put on as much as you want or as little as you want. Everybody has different taste. Some people like very, elaborate cards. Some people like a little bit. It's all in what you like and what the recipient of your card's going to like. So I'm going to put one more blue one right in the center of that bigger star that I did. So I'm going to add 2 pieces just to that little mechanism. They shouldn't get in the way. So that's it. That is the card that we made today. So again, this is a pop-up card, pop-up slider card. I think it's very fun, very easy. You could do this for any occasion. And again, as you can see, that slider will not come out because there's enough left over when the card is open, so you don't have to worry about putting a stopper on it. So thank you for joining me today. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't. And until next time, happy crafting. See you soon. Bye-bye.